of Yesterday in Sports. Here, we cover sports news across the world, from player injuries, the biggest scores and upsets, and any other significant news from the day before. Let's take a look at what happened in sports on Tuesday, November 28th. Let's start out in the college football world. The finalists for the Blitnikoff Award, handed out to the best receiver, has been announced, and it consists of Ohio State wide receiver Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Nabers from LSU, and Rome Odunze from Washington. Syracuse is expected to hire current Georgia defensive backs coach Fran Brown as their new head coach in the coming days. The transfer portal, as always, continues to heat up as some more notable names such as UConn QB Zion Turner, Michigan State quarterback Noah Kim, South Florida quarterback Jerry Bohannon, and Temple quarterback E.J. Warner, son of Kurt Warner, have put their names in the portal and are expected to go elsewhere next season. Finally, we have updated college football playoff rankings heading into championship week. Georgia holds on to the 1 seed, Michigan moves up to the 2 seed, Washington takes a jump over into the 3 seed, and Florida State holds on to the 4 spot, with Oregon looking on the outside in, as well as Ohio State dropping down 4 spots to the 6 seed. We'll see what the championship Saturday has in store for us. With no game action in the NFL on Tuesday, here are some of the most notable stories from yesterday. Colts star running back Jonathan Taylor is expected to miss a couple of weeks with a thumb injury. Colts owner Jim Irsay has said about 2 to 3 weeks is what he expects him to miss. Meanwhile, the Vikings officially activated superstar wide receiver Justin Jefferson from the IR, and he's expected to return to play after the Week 13 bye coming up. On Aaron Rodgers' weekly stint on the Pat McAfee Show, he says his return from injury will be dependent on the possibility of the Jets making the playoffs. Do we expect him to make the playoffs and him to play? We will see. Finally, the NFL Hall of Fame announced their list of 2024 semifinalists, headlined by first-timers Antonio Gates and Julius Pepper, as well as return specialist Devin Hester. We also have Anquan Bolden, Ricky Watters, and Patrick Willis making the semifinalist. An eventful day in the NBA as the in-season tournament games continue to go on. Hornets star guard LaMelo Ball is expected to miss multiple weeks with a significant ankle sprain. But the biggest NBA news from yesterday comes from Dallas Mavericks owner Mark Cuban, who is expected to sell his majority share in the franchise for an expected $3.6 billion. And the caveat there, he's expected to keep full control of the team's basketball operations. Next, let's take a look at the scores from last night's games and highlight some of the most notable performances. The Kings erased a 24-point deficit to beat the Warriors and advance to the quarterfinals of the in-season tournament. And the Knicks and the Celtics both win in dominating fashion to secure their spots as well in the tournament. Here are the other scores. The college basketball season continues on after a great feast week. This week we have the first edition of the ACC versus SEC series. After the first 7 games on Tuesday, the SEC takes a 1-game advantage over the ACC with 4 wins to 3 wins. Tuesday's games were highlighted with number 12 Kentucky dismantling 8th-ranked Miami with a score of 95-73. Clemson with a surprising upset win over Alabama, beating them 85-77 on the road. And Georgia Tech slows down the undefeated Mississippi State 67-59 at home. Those are the scores. Let's end with a few quick hitters on news and scores from some of the other sports around the world. NHL star Patrick Kane finally signs with the team for the 23-24 season, joining the Detroit Red Wings. The Blackhawks are terminating the contract of Corey Perry due to workplace violation. The details on those stories are still developing. During his press conference today, golfing great Tiger Woods announced his plan is to compete in 1 tournament a month going forward. It's big news in the golf world. In the MLB world, the expectation is that all-world outfielder Juan Soto is going to be traded sooner rather than later. Just waiting to see who his suitor is going to be. Lastly, the Champions League group stages continued on as Manchester City comes back and beats RB Leipzig 3-2. Dortmund handles AC Milan by a score of 3-1, And PSG scores late to draw even with Newcastle. More action today. Well, that's all the sports news from yesterday. I'll see you next time. Please make sure to like and subscribe.